All right, guys, water. That's the moral of the story with Dean Stark, right? Everything deals with water. So whenever we want to work with water or capture water or separate water, Dean Stark is going to be a very good option for us. So Dean Stark, that's where it started. That's how we use it today. And that's our very first training lab with you as far as the usage of the glassware. So we're kind of holding true to its or a point of origin, okay? So let's talk about water content, and let's talk about water content in your body, right? You cannot function without water. You need it. And very often, most of us do not drink enough water based on our body weight. Did you know that if you are a male over 200 pounds, you should probably be drinking around a gallon of water a day? Now, who's actually going to be drinking a whole gallon of water each and every single day? Most of us probably not. But that's kind of the suggested rate for your metabolism and your size and your BMI as well. So your body cannot function without the intake of water. And water makes about 60 to 70% of your body weight, or at least that's recommended, right? So sometimes you'll find these scales that you can purchase at home and you can step on them to get your weight. But sometimes they often have little finicky sensors on them as well that can give you other things besides your weight. And some of that is your water composition. And depending on how much you pay for your scale, you might have one of these swanky little ones in your bathroom right now. But water helps your body transport oxygen. It helps transport fat. It helps kind of break down glucose, sends it into your metabolism. It really is the igniter that basically makes your body work. And you never want to become dehydrated, right? So it does everything. It regulates your O2 levels. It regulates your weight. It regulates how fast you can digest food and how fast that passes through you. So where do we get the water? That's the question. If you're not drinking it, do not count out these. You can eat it as well, okay? So you might not be drinking a gallon of water a day, but you could be drinking and eating a gallon of water a day, depending on what your diet will consist of, okay? So overall, the body's 60 to 70% water. With that said, how can I make sure that it stays in that range? Well, I probably will need to be eating some fruit and veggies. If you're a vegetarian, congratulations. You're probably all set. However, if you snarl your nose at a vegetable and you think they're poisonous and you think those vegetables will kill you, then we got another thing coming. Your water intake might kill you in the very end. So, fruits and veggies. Why am I saying that? Well, let's say that you go to watermelon. Watermelon's called watermelon for a reason, and that's because it's 92% water. Can you believe that? So if you eat a nice big old chunk of watermelon, yeah, you're getting a little bit of sugar, you're getting a little bit of fruit, but 92% of that weight is water weight. So you're eating your water in that case instead of drinking it. Strawberries. Are you a strawberry fan, especially in the summer? If so, I've got good news for you because strawberries are also 92% water. Well, wait, that might throw you for a loop. That might be a little bit of surprise to you, right? 92% of the weight of strawberries are water. So that's another water in source. What about tomato? Well, if you like tomatoes and you like a nice cucumber tomato salad, or if you put tomatoes in your burgers, maybe they're vegetarian patties if you're a vegetarian, but tomatoes are 93% water. Go figure. One of the more healthy vegetables that people really associate themselves with is celery. Very often you'll hear people say, it will take more calories to eat a stalk of celery than what celery can provide. They're actually calorie deficient by the time you chew it and eat it. Well, not only that, but that celery is 95% water. So a lot of people take this for granted, but it's out there. If you're eating fruits and vegetables, you're actually eating water, and many of these are 90% or higher in water weight. So you might actually be getting the water that you need depending on your diet and how much you eat and how much you drink throughout the day. And that's the point of the lab. So in this particular lab, what you'll do is that you will pick one fruit or you will pick one vegetable. It's up to you on which one you want to bring in, but you have to bring it in. We will not provide it, and the reason is because this is fresh produce, and we want it as fresh as we can get it. So we're not going to purchase this stuff at the beginning of the semester and then have it laying around in the lab for 2 months before you get to it in the actual lab part, right? So you're going to have to bring in whatever you want to do. Whenever you bring it in, you're going to take that sample and you're going to divide it up into 3 portions, portion 1, portion 2, and portion 3. These are going to require about 10 grams each. So we'll need 10 grams for the first one, 10 grams for the second, and 10 grams for the third. All right, so there's a reason that we choose 10 grams, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But this is only 30 grams of food product. So what we suggest is that you buy something that you like. So if you bring an apple into the lab that day, you will need 30 grams of apple. The rest of the apple, don't waste it. Eat it. Okay? You're going to have at least half of the apple that's probably left. Well, take a big old bite of it and enjoy your water and your water weight for the day. Okay? The same way with bananas. If you bring a banana in, you only need 30 grams. It's going to be like a quarter of what you actually need. And then eat the rest of the banana. Don't waste it. So pick something that you will actually enjoy eating, and that way nothing goes to waste, especially your money. Okay, so you only need one. That's typically good enough, but we're going to give you a list of things to choose from, and that can be found in the Blackboard folder as well. You can do everything from lettuce, cucumbers, peaches, cantaloupe, grapefruit, strawberries, watermelon, celery, tomatoes, whatever you want to bring in. That will be on the list, and the reason I'm saying pick something on the list is because we have actual justification of how much water are in those samples. Okay, so make sure you pick something off of that list in Blackboard. All right, so with that said, you'll take 3 portions, 10 grams, 10 grams, and 10 grams. And each one of these will go into a Dean Stark apparatus. So you'll actually have 3 Dean Starks set up at the same time, okay? And those 3 Dean Starks can be processed at the same time. They can be started at the same time. They can be stopped at the same time. No big deal here. Have 3 going on at once, and you'll be fine. You can actually go off and do another lab while these are doing what they need to do, to tell you the truth. So they do not need to be babied, and they do not need your attention once you start them. Okay, so how does this setup actually look? We need to talk about how to set it up. So we need 3 boiling flasks, boiling flask number 1, boiling flask number 2, and boiling flask number 3. And off of those boiling flasks, we're going to have our sample into each one with a little bit of liquid. I'll talk about what that liquid is in just a second. And that liquid is then going to be heated up. And that liquid, as well as the water in your fruit or your vegetable sample, will go up, and it will need to go up through the Dean Stark apparatus. So there's going to be kind of your fractionating column in a way. It's going to be a little mini one, okay? There's no thermometer up at the top of these, the ones that we have. So the vapor will continue to go around the neck, and then down here, it will be kind of like a burette. It just will not have a stopcock. And then up above, it's going to be connected to a condenser that has water in and water out. So I'm going to draw this with blue because that's where my cold water is coming into play. Well, we're going to have 3 of these setups at one time, and we're going to kind of save a little bit of room, and we're going to basically connect all 3 of these together. And this is how we do it. All right. So here's my third Dean Stark, and then my condenser that sits up above, water in and water out. So each one of these, in and out the top, in and out the top, in and out the top. Each one of these will need their own heating mantle. Okay, so don't misinterpret that. They each need their own heat source down here at the very bottom. Some of these will get done faster than the others, and if so, you don't need to continue to heat that stuff even longer. Okay, so we'll just cut it off and we'll just call it a day after that point. However, we save on our tubing, and this is what we need to do for the tubing when you set up this apparatus. So water is going to go in. So here's my faucet, right? So here's my water faucet that comes out. There's my water. Okay, so the water is going to be hooked up and it will go into that condenser, and then the water is going to go out of that condenser. Well, what I want to do is I want to connect this tubing to my second one and have that water go into that condenser and the water will come out. And then I'll connect that to my third one. So the water goes into the third one and it goes out of the third one, and that piece of tubing will then take it out and down the drain. So that is the way that we do our water hookups when it concerns the Dean Stark, and we have to run 3 of them at one time. Very, very important. Okay, that saves on tubing. The water is going to stay cold. It's not an issue or a problem there, and everything will be nice and tidy at your lab bench at the same time. All right, so what's the liquid that goes down here at the very bottom of this bowling flask? That liquid is called toluene. Toluene. It's like Halloween, if you've ever watched Nightmare Before Christmas, right? Okay, so toluene, and if you've not watched Nightmare Before Christmas, I highly encourage you to watch it. It's a cult classic. At least that's what I'm going to call it. All right, so toluene goes into the bottom of the bowling flask. And the reason is that toluene's boiling point is very, very close to the boiling point of water, okay? They're very close. They're going to boil off together. And what's going to happen is that in the beginning, you're going to start off with some toluene down here and your sample. Well, the easiest way to fill up this round bottom flask is to pour toluene straight through the condenser. Toluene will go through the middle of the condenser. It will go into the trap. It will fill the trap up, and then it will come over and down into the bowling flask and let it overflow. That's what you want it to do. You want it to overflow. So the bowling flask is going to have toluene, and your Dean Stark trap is going to be filled with toluene as well. And the toluene is chosen again because its boiling point is very close to the boiling point of water. So what happens is that as this begins to heat, your toluene vapor and your water vapor will travel up and it will travel over. If water is with that mixture, then as the water and toluene goes up through the condenser, both will condense and both will drip down into the Dean Stark. When they do, water and toluene, they don't mix. So this area will start to get cloudy because those are not miscible with each other, right? And if they're not miscible, you're going to see that. It's probably going to be cloudy. It's going to be hazy. It will not look like an emulsion, but you might think it's one in the beginning. But you will see the two liquids begin to separate, and there will be a cloudy area because of that. As this sample continues to heat, it will release less and less water, and finally to the point of which it will release no more water at all. And if it doesn't release any more water, then all of a sudden it's only toluene that's getting condensed over here. Water's not there anymore. And only toluene is going to be dripping down onto the surface of this Dean Stark apparatus. And when that happens, the cloudiness goes away. So that is a sign that that particular Dean Stark is finished. When you start seeing drips happen in your Dean Stark and it's not cloudy anymore but clear, then that means no more water is getting released. It probably means that your fruit or your vegetable has released all the water that it's got. There's no more to give away. And because of that, the liquid layers in the Dean Stark are clear and they will stay clear. So at that point, you'll turn the heat off. No more need to have that one going. And you take a look at the other two to make sure that these other two are finished or to see if they need to go on a little bit more. Okay, so we call this hooking them up in series. The Dean Starks are hooked up in series. All three are together as far as the condenser goes. Each one having their own heat source. Each one will be distilling toluene and water. Each one will go cloudy. Each one will go clear. They might go clear at different points in time, but they will go clear. Now, the next thing is why 10 grams, okay? So if you look at the Dean Stark apparatus, you will see markings on them. And these markings actually will be 10 milliliters. All right, so when it concerns water, we're going to make a reasonable estimation here. And that is 1 milliliter is equal to 1 gram. So if the Dean Stark can hold 10 milliliters of water, then it can hold 10 grams of water, right? And if I measure out a fruit or if I measure out a veggie and I have 10 grams of that substance and all 10 grams are water, that means it's 100% water. And I know that's not going to happen, right? If so, then I'm just going to be basically putting water into the boiling flask. A lot of the fruits and veggies are 90%, 95%. I mean, they're very, very high, but nothing's 100% water. So that's why we tell you to weigh out what we do as far as sample amount goes. Do not go that much higher than 10 grams. It's actually going to be a little bit better if you do not go to 10 grams at all, but maybe 9.8 or 9.9 grams. That's actually going to be better for you. So that way you know for sure that water will fit into that Dean Stark apparatus. So that's why the 10 grams are in play. That's why the lab is written for the amount that it's written in, because we know if it is 100% water, which is the worst case scenario that will probably never happen, then 10 milliliters of water will be collected. And that trap can only hold 10 mils. So anything higher than that, it's not actually going to work, and it's going to lie to me and give me phony data. So let's take a look at your thresholds for the lab. These are the numbers that you want, kind of, right? So your thresholds for the lab, you have to perform 3 trials. So you've got to have 3 of your own. You will average the 3 trials. You'll probably do a standard deviation as well. That will be on the grade sheet. You'll see that listed. But again, most of the time I do the standard deviations. You do not have to. And then you will calculate the percent error based on the Merck values. So again, in Blackboard, you'll see a chart or a table. And then beside of that, there will be percentages for those. Those are the numbers that are the assumed correct numbers that you will go off of. So your synthesis target here, not really a synthesis, but just basically a recovery target. Your percent error has to be less than 5%. These are really, really tight numbers because this lab works extremely well. And if you're over 5% of error, then we know that you've done something wrong. So one of those labs, it works too well, and because of that, we tighten the window on you at 5%. Your standard deviation, we also want less than 2%. So we want you to do it right, but we don't want you to get lucky. We want you to do it right all 3 times. And if you do, your standard deviation is going to be very, very low, which means that your numbers are very, very close. Okay, so that's it with the Dean Stark. Pretty simple lab. It's the setup that will take longer than anything. Have your 3 samples basically churning at one time. This process is probably going to take about an hour to 2 hours for it to complete. But you know what? You can do other things in that 1 or 2 hours. So go set up the next lab that you want to do. Go work on the next pre or post lab that you want to finish up. Go study on the next lab that you turned in, or maybe for a test that's coming up. Who knows what you want to do? But make the most of your time. You might as well do something else while these are churning, because you don't need to be over there while this is heating up for 2 hours, twiddling your thumbs and on your cell phone, right? Okay, so if you've got any questions, you know where to get us, and you know where to find me. You know how to send me an email. At the same time, I wish you luck. I think that you'll not have a problem at all getting less than 5% and a less than 2% standard deviation.